These are the final. Oop. Hi everyone. So today we're going to be making mushroom pendants with crystals. So you guys are going to be taking a step-by-step tutorial with me and making these with me. So this is the final product. These pieces are perfect for festivals like Christmas and holidays where you can hang them in the trees, or it doesn't even have to be a holiday. You can just hang them in the tree as a plant decor, tree decor, whatever you want. You can wear it as a pendant. You can really do whatever you want with these things. I would say you can put it in your car, but I don't suggest that. That's dangerous. So, yeah. So let's head inside where it's warmer and start creating these pendants. So I have some brass hoops here, and I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna bend it just enough where it fits the crystal. I think I'm gonna use this one. I'm gonna bend the edges a little bit so it fits better on the crystal. Just like that. So I have some clay, some polymer clay. I'm gonna take a little bit, about this much, and then I'm gonna go ahead and stick this hoop onto the crystal. I'm gonna get a little piece of clay, then just put it on the edge, and then stick it onto the crystal. I have my little tiny ball tool. I'm gonna go ahead and roll this around. Now the pendants are finally cooled from the oven. They're ready to be decorated with some mushrooms. So let's start making the mushrooms. So we're going to be using more clay to layer on the edges, the sides. So let's start making the mushroom stem, which is really easy. You just roll the clay into a long snake. Make it nice and thin. If it gets too long, you can always cut it in the middle. Because we're going to be making really skinny long stems. And also some really short ones too. So here's a little snake. We're gonna start cutting the snake. Okay. And then we're gonna just roll one end so it's gonna be skinny at the top. The stem's gonna be thick at the bottom. Now we're gonna stick these stems on the pendant, just like that. So now we're gonna make two types of mushrooms, the ones that grow on wood and the regular ones. I always make shrooms on here, so I think most people already know how to make it. All you have to do is make a little ball. Get your little ball tool, stick the ball in the ball, and then you just widen it up. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to make a shroom without really explaining much. It's really easy. So there's the cap. I know it looks weird, but when we start making the gills, it'll start looking more like a mushroom cap. So I've been using this tool for so long and I still don't know what it's called. It's the sharp edge tool. I really don't know what it's called. So let's zoom up real quick. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and start pressing on as you roll the cap. Oh wow, this one is not that great, but you get the idea. And just keep poking as you roll. There we go. You got a shroom. And then you can just widen it up depending on how you want the shape to be. I like it when the edges break a little bit because it makes it more realistic. And I like that mushroom look where it's mature enough where it flares out a lot. So now we're gonna make a mushroom that usually grows on trees. There's different species, like, you know, the reishi mushroom, the what do you call it? The chicken of the woods, turkey tails, those kind of mushrooms. I have my ball tool. I'm just gonna roll it down. Turn it over. Fold it a little bit. Just like that. And then get my ball tool again. Roll it down. Fold it. I went on ahead and pre-made them. We're gonna use these mushrooms right here. So what you want to do is start at the top and work your way down to the bottom. That just makes it a lot easier. I'm just gonna stick it on like that and work my way down. Okay, so I ended up making the sides a little wider just so the mushrooms can fit better. So I added this one. So I'm gonna start individually painting on each mushroom, the top and the bottom. So we're gonna be using some pastel chalk today. We'll also be using some acrylic paint as well, but we're gonna start off with the chalk because I like to use chalk to color my sculptures before I bake them, because it looks a lot more, I guess you could say, realistic, or the colors just pop better. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with yellow, brown, and orange, and the salmon color. Shade these down. We will be using 3 different paint brushes. So we're gonna dabble on some yellow. Just brush it on. We're also gonna brush the bottom too. We're gonna put some yellow on the bottom. Now we're gonna dabble on a little bit of salmon. Now I'm gonna use the orange brush and for the inner part of the mushroom, we're gonna use some brown. So now we just repeat the process. I'm gonna just add it right there. I also forgot to mention, while I'm adding the shrooms on, I'm also painting the sides brown. It'll make it a lot easier when you start having to fill the insides, like that little crevice right there. It's a lot easier to just do it now than to do it later, so just work as you go. So I finished halfway through. Okay, so I'm done with both sides. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go with the inside. I'm gonna add a couple mushrooms on the inside just to not look too empty, and then start adding in the little moss and pretty much complete this piece. So for the moss, I'm gonna go ahead and use some green clay that I have left over. This is some really old clay, but there's still a lot of moisture to it, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that. I have completed all the mushrooms on here, so now it's time to add the moss. This piece is finally complete. Now we're going to move on to the next piece. So all the stems are finally attached. We're going to go ahead and start painting them. So I have the same colors here that I used for the other pendant. I'm going to dip a little bit of water so it sticks on to the clay better. So now we have to put this pendant in the oven to let it bake, just because the stems are very flimsy. So I recently just baked this, so the stems are hard, so they're easier for the caps to be attached. I went on ahead and started to add the moss to the pendant. So I have my green polymer clay here, and I'm just scraping it with my stippling tool and getting a little piece like that, and I'm just stippling it on. Now it's time to apply on the mushrooms, so I'm going to go ahead and use the same chalk for the shrooms. So I'm going to start off with yellow. A little bit of coral and a little bit of orange. And just tap it on the top. And last but not least, get some brown. Just like that. To apply the caps to the stems, we're going to go ahead and use some liquid Sculpey to glue it on. So a little bit goes a long ways. We're going to just add a little dab right here. And then our mushroom. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the caps on. So now this one is ready to be baked. Moving to the next one. Okay guys, so lastly we're going to be finishing up this one. So for this piece, we're gonna add an additional quartz on top, and it took me a while to like think about what this piece is gonna look like, but I'm also gonna add, it's gonna be like the first piece where there's just gonna be a bunch of tree wood mushrooms on the sides, along with this additional quartz piece right in the center, and I think it's gonna look really pretty. So let's start making the shrooms for this guy. So here's the rest of my mushrooms that I never used. I'm gonna go ahead and just crush this up and remake the mushrooms. Oops, there's a little piece here that I never ended up, this guy doesn't have a home anymore. So I'm gonna use up all this clay and just remake more mushrooms. Now all three of the pendants are baked, and I already painted the moss for this one. So for these two, I'm going to be using these two colors here. One in lime tree and one in olive. So it doesn't really matter what kind of acrylic paint you have, as long as it's acrylic. Okay, now it's time to coat them with resin. So I have my silicone mat here to protect my table. And then I have these two right here. The resin and the hardener, we're gonna mix this up together. These two right here. So I'm gonna have my mixer, my scale, cheap paintbrushes that I got from the dollar store. So I have my silicone cup here. We're gonna go ahead and measure this out. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix it up. Okay, now we can start painting, coating our shrooms. And you want to work really fast because the resin gets pretty hard after maybe like 15 minutes or so. So once it starts to get thicker and thicker, it just gets a lot harder to coat the whole pendant, especially around the textured areas like the moss. So you just want to work really fast, but not too fast where it gets too sloppy, because that's happened before and you don't want to get it all over the pendant, especially around the crystal. So a nice thin layer. So here's all the pendants, and the resin's pretty much dried up. The reason why I put rice in here is just in case the resin leaks on the crystal, I can easily take it out because the rice clumps on the resin. So here's an example right here. So I can just easily take this out, preferably with a, oops. The rest just makes it a lot easier to peel the resin off the crystal. That's my little trick. And let's see if any of these leaked. This one is good. And this one has a few clumps, so let's take this one out. You just gotta be careful to not stab yourself. This one was a bit difficult. I had to take it off camera because it was really stuck on there, but I got it all out and now they're all done. So I'll show you what they look like with natural lighting outside in the snow.